Good afternoon. I'm really pleased to have Miha today with from Bloq.it with us talking about parcel lockers. Thank you for coming, Miha.
Yeah, happy to be here, Andre. Thanks for the invitation.
So the reason you are here, actually, I've heard a lot about Bloq.it in the community, but haven't talked to you directly and your people. But one thing that actually you makes you outstanding is the sort of different approach I sort of sense from you and from your company, like a startup mood and spirit. So, are you a startup or are you a locker manufacturer?
Yeah, well, that might be a great question to start with, right? It's true what you said. We're picking up some recognition now where we like to be considered, or I hope we are considered as the hottest startup in the industry or a company in the industry. Maybe that's something we can resolve now. But we believe we're definitely the fastest growing smart locker company right now in the world. Um, all the way to this year, we've been startup for sure. I think numbers now will try to convince us differently. I think we're now also restructuring to be more as a company. Some in the startup world would say we are a scale up, which is probably the description that fits us best. But when it comes to startup, we would like to keep this startup mentality and the startup approach when it comes to innovation, product development, and the agile approach to solving problems. But probably our numbers and our approach at the end of the year will say that we are a company now.
Good, good. With your merits, I think this is not far of being a big company. But the other thing that actually is interesting for me, and I see it coming up in different discussions about you, is that you are talking a lot about software and not so
Yeah.
much about hardware. So this is one thing I also share that that in order to operate a profitable locker company, you have to control the software, and it has to be versatile. So I think this is your thing also.
Yeah, that's definitely our thinking, and this is how we kind of made our name and how we approach this industry. When we entered the industry, the market back in 2019, we saw that most of the solutions or the competitors were coming from the manufacturing background. These were basically the manufacturing companies making a lot of different hardware products. Then they realized there's a big opportunity in smart lockers. They partner with some software consultancy companies to build the software part of the solution. And this ended up being more or less a rigid, hard to customize, hard to integrate solution. So we decided to approach industry from completely other way around, from different perspective. We're a software first. We like to call ourselves a software company, even though we do provide obviously the full end-to-end smart locker solution. We pay a lot of attention to software. The reason for that is because we believe software is the one that defines a quality of user experience. It defines how easy it is to integrate with external parties and in that case our partners, our clients, which is very important. So software being brain of the locker, it's for us what companies should pay more attention to definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and this is very good to go to the next section of topics. I've heard you using quite a heavily expression agnostic, and this not only about, as I understand, your technology. This is also about how the partial local networks can operate. So what it signals to me that you are quite you don't afraid sort of competition. You don't make clients to go to lock in with your products. Is it feeling right, or is it your intention, or it happens to be in a way?
Yeah, definitely. The feeling and the intention is the correct one. We're most of what could be considered our competitors are actually our partners. We use many times their manufacturing facilities. We really try to be, when it comes to metal production, as diversified as possible. We do tend to own all the designs and manufacturing process. We assure the quality, and we have an ownership over the whole production. But we see a value in diversification. You mentioned agnostic. We like to be agnostic in two different directions. So carrier agnostic is how many different carriers is actually enabled to deliver in such a locker network, but also hardware agnostic, meaning we can apply our software into many different hardware lockers. So I believe until our existence, this was not really the thing. No one was trying that. I think this is changing now. Also, open agnostic locker networks are being more popular. I believe also couriers are now realizing that partnership in between them makes more sense, which means that this is the way to go. Software needs to enable all these partnerships, all these possibilities, and we're here to we're trying here to be the most advanced solution for that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that Bloq.it is famous of is your cooperation with Vintet, especially. Tell me a bit about that background, because this is not so common thing that retail brand or even sort of second-hand retail brand cooperates on such a deep level with locker manufacturers. It seems like a match made in heaven.
Yeah, we try to call our partnership a marriage made in heaven. Yeah, actually, I think it's so obviously our experience with Vinted is great. I would hope to say that Vinted thinks the same. They were the ones that put us on the map, mainly because their plan to launch lockers is very aggressive. I think we are the fastest growing locker manufacturer right now, and they're the fastest deployer of lockers right now on the market. So I guess that kind of goes hand in hand. Um, so Vinted, as you said, is a second-hand fashion marketplace. So their products tend to be low cost, and if you're selling something that is low cost, then you also need to have a logistics or the last mile very optimized. There's no point in buying low cost product if you then compensate with a high expense for the delivery, right? So Locker here, it's perfect. We know Locker networks optimize the last mile delivery. And when Vinted came to us, their use case was very unique. In their case, the final user is the first one that approaches the locker, but also the last one, since yeah, the user delivers their package in the locker, and the final user as well picks it up. So this was a very kind of complex user flow. It was combining the first mile and last mile, and at the time, our software was the most developed to support such process for Vinted. So that's why Vinted decided to do a pilot project with us late last year. We deployed 200 lockers in Paris. Their locker network got a great adoption. I think their best locations got 200% adoption rate, which means that the locker was filled multiple times in the same day. And the rest is history. We're deploying really large projects, large locker deployments with them. We're entering multiple cities, and in the future, in the next years, hopefully also multiple countries.
Yeah, great. I even envy you, because this is really deep cooperation. Because one problem I see in usual operations of networks is that there is a e-commerce site, and there is a carrier, and then there is a locker manufacturer, and this is quite a long network actually to manage the customer experience profoundly. So with such a close cooperation with the end brand or Vinted, it gave you a very good insight about the customer needs, and it helps you to concentrate on that. But talking about the customer experience and developing the product according to customer experience needs, this is a lot about data, and now latest year has been AI year or so. What is your development plan, or how do you see data and data analytics and machine learning inside that? Is it important in your development plans, or you leave it to the customer side?
Yeah, no, that's 100% important to us. Us trying to be the most innovative and the software company in the industry, we're paying a lot of attention to that. both from machine learning point of view, but also from AI and data collection. You mentioned AI. Obviously, there's a lot of hype around AI now. Everything's being called AI. We like to say that we have AI-enabled features. This helps us with one particular case very well, and that's called total cost of ownership of a locker. That's a term that's now picking up a little bit more attention. In the past, we've seen many companies selecting what could be initially the cheapest locker, but then with all the challenges on the maintenance side and just servicing such locker, the total cost of ownership then on long term actually was higher than if they would go different way. So what we're trying to do with an AI-enabled features and also data collection is to really understand how to improve solution over time and how to make it as low maintenance as possible, but also to optimize deployments and so on. So yeah, we pay a lot of attention to data collection AI and AI-enabled features per se.
Yeah, because you are absolutely right. If you want to achieve 200% of occupancy rate in capacity, then you have to have very good communication with the clients in order to perceive them to take parcels out as fast as possible. So, so yeah, I totally understand that development thing. So, but tell me more about your location. Your company is based in Portugal, and the biggest parcel locker adoption have been in Nordic countries and not so much in southern parts of Europe.
Correct.
How did you end up with your company to Portugal?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we ended up being here because both of my co-founders, my two partners that we started with, are Portuguese. So we decided that Portugal is a place to begin the journey with. Portugal also has a great technical talent. It's also quite affordable if you take a look at some other countries. You mentioned Nordics. I think a possibility to source talent in Portugal are much better. So this actually was something that was not initially planned, but turned out to be great. When you speak about adoption, it's true. Portugal is very small market for us. Our biggest market is France, obviously. We have our main company in Portugal. We have a subsidiary in France. We're looking at Eastern Europe and the Nordics. We're paying a lot of attention there because adoption is the fastest. We don't believe that adoption is not going to happen here. It's just a matter of time as well. But what was funny is that when we were looking for an investment back in the days, it was very hard to get it from this area because they didn't understand the concept. So we see a big change now. And if I think about 5 years ago, 5 years ago, we had to explain people why lockers, what's even the concept, what good can lockers bring, right? Today, we just need to explain why we're better. So that's kind of evolution of an industry that we've been part of.
Great. So I think we could talk hours and hours, but there is a time limit for everybody, also our viewers. So I will like to wrap it up. Thank you, Miha. It was extremely fruitful discussion. It's very inspiring story you are having, and I'm really honored to have you here. And hope this information inspires also others, both users and other manufacturers, to get better in what they are doing.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me. And as you said, hopefully this conversation was interesting and useful for someone.